Can we stay versus a wedding, a traditional or your church wedding? Which one do you prefer? 22422 is our SMS line. Tweet us directly at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Baridi, you were saying parents have an influence. They contribute to the Can We Stay. How so? So,
I've seen several cases, and boy child said, send me directly to say something. You find that, for example, I love her daughter, and the daughter loves me, and then we want to date and not even do Come We Stay. And the daughter spoke to the mom, and I feel the first once the mother sees you, or the parents see the man, then they just want to separate you completely. So you find that the daughter will leave home, and the man will leave home, they stay somewhere, and then now they will stay there without the blessings from the parent, because the mother sees that this man is not someone who can stay with my daughter. Maybe financially is not stable and all those things. So you find, and most of this also come with Can We Stay also we have where you find a young man committing suicide or a young lady committing suicide because the parents already refused that you cannot stay with my daughter and you can't do that. But this person see there is no other life ahead without staying with this daughter. So parents also contributing to this Can We Stay where there's no blessings inside on it. Yeah.
Interesting point. The role of parents. Diane, please jump onto that one. How parents can even, because we've had these stories before. I personally had a friend dated, and they were literally on the last end of the dowry negotiations, and that wedding was called off because of the parents' influence in that.
Yes, parents play a major role, positive and negative. And sometimes parents, because of their upbringing, their prejudice or their bias, sometimes may prefer you even to marry somebody from a specific tribe, a specific economical background, or they just don't like how even the person you brought dresses or their hairstyle. You know, so they can make those kind of remarks and anticipate that as a couple, because you will find challenges. The advice that I'll actually give, the problem is that we tend to introduce ourselves to the parents when we're already in a Can We Stay relationship, or we've already gone so far. Build up that relationship with the parents.
And that's what Emily has said.
Yes, build up that relationship with the parents. And this is just a tip, because sometimes parents fight what they don't understand. Give them some time to understand the person. Let the person come and be like, oh, umekutana rafiki yako. And then like, so they met the person for the first time. Not, bam, so the very first day. Dad, this is the man I want to marry. Yeah. Relax. Just slowly introduce the person to your parents. So they start saying, hey, nowadays unakujana kijana fulani hapa, or nowadays you start bringing a certain woman. So they start seeing the person. They start to see, oh, this person is really very good to you. When the dad is sick, who gets to take the dad to hospital? It's your male friend. Oh, like kijana wako mwenye ulileta. So slowly, the parent starts to understand and to learn the person. So by the time you're telling them, oh, by the way, this is the man I'm intending, or the woman I'm intending to marry, they've already known the person. So they're no longer a stranger. Because when you are a stranger and you present yourself to the parents, guess what? The daru utapewa, pa, tutaka 1 million. Twataka nini. Why? Because you're a stranger. But when you're a friend that they've gotten to know pole, you might be easily well received than before. So just a tip, you know, just get to be, because it's a relationship that you're building. A relationship is not an event. And so when you do that, and for the men, I want to, when you mentioned about boy child, I just have to say this. I don't like the word boy child, especially when it comes to something serious as marriage. Boy child is the people that we are raising who are boys. Once you become a man and you're ready for marriage, let's say man. You're now a man, and once you become a man, you realize this, that when you're a man, you're the one who's marrying the woman. The woman can marry herself. So many times women want that commitment, they want that security, they want that thing, but then it is for us men. It is our responsibility to either give that or to decline that.
But isn't that where the problem also lies? Because like Jennifer said, in this 21st century, some of the women are even much more powerful than you. So this aspect of you thinking that you want to marry them always backfires on your face.
First of all, as a man, choose the woman who is easy to love. It's your choice.
Stay within your range.
It's your choice.
Stay within your range. Stay within your range.
It's your choice. If you find a woman who's unbearable, you took yourself to her.
Yeah.
So choose the woman who is lovable, who because when unamwinda, you're pursuing her, you're making her feel good. And guess what? When that marriage starts, whose name is going to have that family? Your name. You're going to be called the Masindes. So that family has your name. So since it has your name, Choose somebody who's going to be peaceful and who's going to enjoy. And you build friendship. You build friendship over time. Not just like, hey, man, I like you. Let's try this thing. So when you're trying this thing, and then kukiumana, you're like, let me go to the next option of trying. So just as an advice to men, we choose the woman that we want.
And you know, Diane, as you say that, then my next question is, does our generation understand courtship? Because that aspect of, hey, I like you, let's become friends first, let's get to know each other, to the point where now you're saying you slowly introduce him or her to your family. Does our generation understand courtship? What is courtship? How should courtship look like?
First of all, this generation is hurting. People are coming from messed up romantic relationships of their parents, so broken homes, and then you check into the dating scene, it's also messed up. People are so heartbroken that even to believe of marriage or even love is a very, very difficult thing.
It's a foreign statement.
And sometimes even kamuiste is an escape of heart. You're trying to protect yourself because you don't want that seriousness. And also, so as a society, we've tended to give so much voice to the marriages that are crumbling and that are getting messed up. And yet there's so many marriages that are actually working. Instead of us also appreciating the positive ones, because negativity is very loud. It is very loud. But then the positive marriages that are there, why can't you also turn to them and also look at what can we learn from them? So number one, this is a hurting generation. And also as a hurting generation, we're very, very quick. We want quick solutions. And thirdly, it's very sexual. A lot of it is very sexual. So even the dating scene is sexual. You're looking at the person, not because of their character and how you can grow together as friends, but hey, man, we can have some good time. So you check in over there, good time, good time, good time, and then guess what? The good time you get bored. Because even sex is just for a very short time. It's just for duration. It has a shelf life. But when it comes to love and commitment, it's for life. So if you're pursuing pleasure, of course you're going to get bored. Because you're going to be like, is there more for me out there?
Right.
And you're going to see somebody who maybe has a better physique. Because sometimes also when it comes to romantic relationships, problems start when the child checks in. That child that you have not prepared for. I think I read that statistics, that document, that article that was written. And it was actually being said about, pretty much even when children come in. And then once a child comes in, you're having unprotected sex. So of course a child is going to come in. And once a child comes in a committed relationship, that's your wake-up call. Are we in this or are we not? That's when a lot of them break up, and you realize, oh, I'm forced to marry this woman or marry this man because of the child. And so we need to be very, very careful because how we enter into something is very, very crucial. The foundations really, really matter because you have to count the cost. Before you do a business, you count the cost of that business. Before you check into marriage, you have to check what is required of me. Because just
analysis.
Just because you have money doesn't mean you're ready for marriage. Just because you're an adult who can do something doesn't mean you're ready for marriage. Plan and set yourself up so that you can set yourself up for love.
I like that one. Just because you have money doesn't mean you're ready for marriage.
And just because you're broke doesn't mean you're not ready for marriage.
Okay, that as well.
Quote by Trevor. Yes.
Let's get feedback from
let's get closing remarks
couple.
from back there. Yeah.
Let's begin with Emily. Yeah, Emily, your closing feedback, your closing comments.
Just a word of advice. Vile unataka tu kufunga.
Okay, what I would say is, if you want to get into stay married, that is, do things right. Let your parents know this guy that you are getting married to. When you get into that marriage, ensure that you focus towards having a good life, that is objectives, responsibilities, and everything about marriage. Do things right.
Okay.
All right, Bernard.
Okay. First, let me say that marriage, it is a commitment, whereby you are supposed to commit throughout. And the youth, they are supposed to do things right. If you decide, you go for it. And as for the parents, we have those parents who influence others positively, others negatively, but it depends on how you take yourself. If you went there, you present yourself as a guy, that this is the man that I want to marry, and you negotiate with the parent cannot even say things that are negatively towards you. And I wish that I got married even when I was 20.
Oh, wow.
Because it is enjoying. You have somebody to comfort you. She even calls you, where are you? My dear, come. But when you are dating, others date even for 30 years, 20 years.
Sio kama sisi huko nje kama mnyama, nobody cares. I like it.
Unakuwa philosopher.
I like
You become a philosopher.
At least she calls to find out where you are. I mean, that's a good thing. Roberta, now, your closing remarks as well.
I think by the time people are considering any sort of commitment,
Yeah.
they're adults, they're grown-ups. So as grown-ups, we need to start taking charge. We need to wake up and realize that decisions that we make have consequences. So whichever direction you decide to go with your marriage, whether you decide to get married traditionally or a white wedding, make commitments that you have decided to make. Stay in commitments that you have decided to make. And make sure your decisions are in line with everything, every aspect of your life, whether your religion, whether your family, whether your environment, whether your friendship, whether everything. Because that's the only way you're going to know what type of relationship you're in and what you want for yourself in the end. So by the time you're deciding to be with someone, you know if you want to commit. I feel like you know at the back of your mind, whether I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna try, you know if you want to get married to this person. So don't stay with someone, don't string people along, first of all. Don't get into this come with stay relationships because you're thinking about the end. Don't, like she said, do things right. Even if it's come with stay, back here when you know that this is the person I want to be with, this is what I want to do. Right now, in the culture that we have, casual flings are becoming socially acceptable. So why not opt for that instead of living with someone knowing that in the end you just want to walk out of it? After 2 kids, after 3 kids, after you've decided. You date someone and then you decide, oh, I don't want them anymore. Why?
Right.
Yeah.
Jennifer, even as you give us your closing statement, I'd love to pick from what Roberta said, that you know, you always know. Is that true? Do you always know that this is the person, whether this thing is going to work, whether this is going somewhere? Do you always know, even as you give your closing statement?
Well, I will say that you think that you always know. It's a perception. It's an interpretation.
That this one...
This one is it.
You know.
And even as those remarks come, I'm reminded that marriage is a journey, and a journey to the unknown. And this journey is one that you've never made before. Others have been there and done it. I want to say to every young person, you can't do this alone. You need somebody called a mentor, somebody who can be able to speak to you, somebody who you can share with your excitement and your fears so that they pour into you. I personally do a lot of marriage mentorship for preparing for marriage and marriage mentorship for enriching the marriage. Because what happens when you are a young person, you make irrational decisions because you think you know and that your parents don't know. They're old-fashioned, and after all, their marriage is a mess. So who are they to tell me?
So this thing of I knew she was the one or he was the one.
Yes.
Is that then just Hollywood being Hollywood? Does anyone ever know?
Well, basically, it's a perception. But the reality is that each one of us, as a young person, has a dream of who they eventually want to. It comes from a fantasy of somebody that you admired, a caregiver, a parent, a teacher, somebody that you thought was wow. Yeah. And that picture remains in your subconscious mind. And so when you meet someone, I mean, the picture is, wow, this is just the person that I have been thinking about, and now I have them. Okay. They may be not. So to know whether they are, you need to explore that. Okay. Through dating and through mentorship.
Okay. MC, very briefly.
Okay, I think what we need to do as young men outside there, and I know the challenge that we are going through, is identity. First, identify yourself, that who you are, and love yourself first before you bring someone in your life. And kindly take your time. Don't have pressure that you have to marry right now. Look at the vision where you're going to, and look at what you need to achieve as a human being. And identify yourself before identify somebody.
Thank you. Vision 2030.
I'll just say something very simple. Yes. Love is beautiful. Period.
That's it.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
It's a good way of living it. Let's see what you're saying online. There's a lot of feedback coming through. 22422 is the SMS line. At Citizen TV Kenya, at Trevor Mbija, at Zinzi_K, #Daybreak. Let's bring them up and see what you're saying. And Sisaga says, Friendship, marriage, or come we stay relationships fail these days because we tend to assume the flaws that we might have. We focus on love, happy moments. We don't want to talk about the reason why we broke up with our exes. The past will help us avoid.
Justus, you say faithfulness in marriage is not doing something right once, but doing something right over and over and over and over.
Oh, wow. That's many of us. Tom Luangu says, people go through a lot of heartbreaks before deciding to settle down. When they finally do, they hold on commitment in fear of the past experience.
Okay. Chem, you say I'm 43 years old now. I married at 26, straight after university, without a job. 17 years later, we are doing great. Don't peg marriage on financial stability alone. There are other factors like timing. Can we stay no and don't get marriage advice from social media? Ask people in good marriages. That's true.
Right, that's Chemjor there. Let's see, now what Andre says, kindly shed some light on the exact point at which marriage begins or happens, because I believe walking out of a multiple come with stays makes one a serial divorcee.
All right, let's take a look at our SMSs. Tell us your name, where you're watching from. 22422, that is our number. Akinyi, all the way from Ronga, you say, oh, marriage. Nowadays, if you spell out marriage, young men look the other way, not just because of the dowry process, but also meeting my dad. I want to know why the men are shy away, why men shy away from being introduced to their lady's father. Oh, I'm not ready. My father isn't a man-eater. I think only one boyfriend of mine was down to meet my father. Wengine, iko shida. Hey!
Wycliffe from Kikuyu says, I prefer come we stay because when you realize he or she is pretending to love, instead he or she is after anything else, it's easy to divorce. Again, with the end in sight.
Okay. Engineer Jeff from Kisii, good morning. You say parents play minimal role in this. It is the society, the friends, celebrities, foreign culture, gradually and steadily driving in. People seldom listen to their parents when it comes to marriage these days.